Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Mindset Elevation Coach Linda Joy, also publisher of the beloved Aspire magazine. Ladies, have you been yearning to come together in community, to nourish your spirit, elevate your mindset, and transform your life, all while being inspired through over 50 workshops, maybe a little shopping in the divine marketplace? Well, all that and more is waiting for you in Massachusetts on April 11th and 12th. I'm hosting and producing the Inspired Life Women's Weekend of Love, Light, and Laughter. You can get the details and your tickets at inspiredlifeevent.com. I got to tell you, my friends, you're in for a special treat today. This is someone near and dear to my heart. I turn to her for so much, especially around human design and being a leader in my own life and business and in life. Because as you're going to discover, she's passionate about this topic. We are all leaders and influencers. Now, I know you might be going, oh, I don't see myself that way. Well, listen in. It's actually up to each of us to do our part to make a positive difference in the world. And you may not realize it, or maybe you do, but you influence others every single day. And if you've ever recommended a movie to a friend or a book to the world, to a colleague, or maybe even persuaded someone to see your point of view, then, my friend, you have influenced, you have led. And today I am with Nancy OKeefe. Nancy's a certified human design business coach who guides women entrepreneurs in impactful service businesses to make a bigger difference by, and this is why I turn to Nancy all the time, by leveraging their human design to stand out as experts, create distinction, fuel demand for their services, and, my friends, step into the highest potential to lead their niche and grow a successful and fulfilling business. I'm so excited to say that she's the author of the new book, Lead with Your Light: Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design. She helps her clients peel back the layers of who they've been taught to be and how they've been conditioned to do business so they can build a business that feeds their soul. Nancy is a best-selling author, an expert columnist, I'm happy to say, for Aspire magazine, a certified executive coach from the College of Executive Coaching, and holds an MBA from Babson in entrepreneurship. Nancy, I am so excited for this conversation. Welcome, hon.
Thank you, Linda. I'm excited to be here. As always, excited to talk with you.
Well, this is such a big topic, right? And, I've had conversations with friends and they're like, oh, I don't see myself as a leader. I'm like, what are you talking about? But the way you describe it and help us tie it into the deeper understanding that we're wired to lead. We may all be wired different ways, but we're all wired to lead. So let's talk about that part first before we dive into the book and more. What made you start to see the nuances in everyone's human design that led you to write this book, do the work you're doing in the world?
Well, after doing hundreds of readings for people, I began to see things in their charts that they had no idea existed inside them. And we have what I'm going to call a warped definition of leadership in our society. We believe that leadership has to be developed. I believe leadership has to be awakened. You're already equipped with everything you need to be a leader and influencer, however you choose to exercise that. And I was hearing things from women like, oh, I don't have any power, or nobody listens to me, or I couldn't possibly be a leader, or I'm not recognized as a leader. And, that's a piece of conditioning that we've gotten by our society, by our workplaces, where we've been led to believe that we play a supportive and a secondary role. And I'm here to tell you, ladies, you've got to be the leader of your life. You are the leading lady of your life. And we've been sort of taught that that is not attractive. It's not attractive to be aggressive. So we came up with the word assertive. It's not accepting to want to be in charge. But you know what? That is just not true. It's very rewarding, and we all have something to give. Human design shows us we all have a life purpose, a soul purpose, and we're here to do our job, to present to the world what only we can give the world. And when you deny that to the world and deny yourself the ability to do that, we are all losing something very important. That's what drove me to write the book. And I actually wrote a book 11 years ago about what I was seeing as the sort of downfall of American business and leadership. And after I wrote the book, I read it and I thought to myself, why did I write this book? This has nothing to do with my consulting or my coaching business. 11 years later, I was awakened in the middle of the night and they told me, read the book. So I got up 1:30 in the morning. I went into my office. I searched high and low for a copy of the original book, which was called Values-Based Choices. I didn't have one. I couldn't find one. So I went out to Kindle. I bought a copy and I sat there in my office reading it on my Kindle. I was up till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden I realized why I wrote that book and how it had everything to do with my business. And Lead with Your Light is really kind of a sequel. Values-based choices, like, ask the questions. Human design, Lead with Your Light, has the answers. So Lead with Your Light is both books in one. And I lay out, the problem so you can see the evidence of how everything is shifting to new energy. And then we talk about what you can do about it to awaken the leader within you.
Just that whole paradigm that you're teaching just really speaks to me about awakening the leader within, right? Because over 30 years of being an entrepreneur, everyone has their own personal perspective that they picked up from society of what a leader is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us do comparisons, right? Well, I'm not a leader like her. I'm not a leader like her. So then they dilute their own power. And
Exactly.
what I'm hearing from you is the reason that they're feeling that way is they're comparing. Well, they're wired completely different than those other people that are doing things different ways. And in your book and articles that you've written for Aspire, you say that human design shows us that we're all, every one of us, designed to lead and influence, but in different ways. And so you're saying that in our individual human design charts, you can go right to someone's chart and go, here you go.
Absolutely.
Leadership style.
Absolutely. I like to say, you're a leader. It's in your human design. I can prove it to you. I can show you where it is in your chart, and it's all over the place. It's in the type. Every type has a way of leading. Your profiles, the different talents you have, your life purpose or your business genius, all of that speaks to how you influence and how you lead. Really, what is leadership? It's really just having the wherewithal to step out kind of at the front of the line and help others. And, I've heard women say, well, I don't work in corporate and I don't have a team. So what? I don't either, but I know I'm a leader. I can see it in my chart and I can show you where it is in yours as well.
I love that mindset too, because I think a lot of people, and I'm so glad you brought that up, tie the word leadership in with corporate. No, like I've never felt that way. I feel like through my through me living my passions, I am a leader because I inspire transformation in others. It's the same with what you do, right? You're leading in your own life and business and then leading others who come to you for your services. So I love this whole conversation. So one of the things too, before we go to the first break, is when we identify, through human design, how we're wired to show up. Do you feel it comes with this, gives us a deeper understanding, but also helps us almost acknowledge and own, oh my goodness, I am a leader. Like, do you think it empowers the person discovering that about themselves?
Absolutely. It's almost like a permission slip.
That's what I was feeling like inside. It's like, oh my God, I can claim it because I'm not a fraud. I am meant to lead.
And the thing I love about using human design in this way and helping people see it in their chart, it's evidence. They can look at a piece of paper with information on it and see it. There's no disputing it. It's not like somebody says, "Oh yeah, Linda, you're a leader. Look what you do. You do this, you do that." But people don't believe it when you tell them those things. But somehow when you see it written in black and white on a piece of paper, it becomes very real and they can start to buy into it.
Yeah, it kind of quiets that inner critic, right? That's always chatting in the background. It's like, okay, you don't have to believe the words, but here's the facts.
Right. And then beyond that, then we start to look for examples in their life where they displayed some influence or leadership. Storytelling is another big one that's part of influence and leadership. And, once they start to think about it, they realize, oh, yeah, wow, I am a leader. I do influence others. It's very powerful.
It is, my friend. And I've been on the receiving end of your wisdom. And it's been, probably 3 or 4 years that I've been diving in with you and learning more about myself and my leadership style. So we're going to take a quick break, my friends. And when we come back, we're going to dive even deeper into this empowering topic. I'm with Nancy O'Keefe. You can learn more at nancyokeefecoaching.com. While you're there, you'll see the book right on her website, my friends. We'll be right back.
We are experiencing a major, unsettling, energetic shift in the world. We're each here to play a part in this unfolding, not as a victim of change, but as a leader guiding us through this major transformation. Did you know that everyone is designed to be a leader? You're being called to step to the forefront of your life. Whether you're leading your life or others, it's time to step to the forefront, out of the shadows, and lead with your light. Intuitive human design coach Nancy O'Keefe's book, Lead with Your Light, Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design, will help you gain a deeper awareness of who you came here to be and align yourself with the new energy that is rising in the world. Grab your copy today at leadwithyourlightbook.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is certified human design business coach, Nancy O'Keefe. So Nancy, in the book and in a lot of what you're revealing lately, you talk about the new era. What is that for those who haven't heard that phrase before?
Well, in the world of energy, especially the world of human design, time is divided into eras. And since the year 1615, we have been under an era called the cross of planning. And that energy is due to sort of be done the end of 2026. And in February of 2027, we will be shifting into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. Now, if you know anything about the sleeping phoenix, it's about rising from the ashes and becoming something new. And boy, that is what's happening. And, it isn't like the light switch is going to be turned on February 27th or whatever it is, 2027. It's been a gradual change. It's been really happening for the last decade or a little more, where we're starting to see things change. Things that worked for us before don't work as well anymore. A really great example is our school systems. For years and years, we had public school and Catholic school. But then we developed charter schools, and then homeschooling became more popular because the actual public school system really wasn't serving anybody as well as it was before. There were kids that were falling through the cracks. So we see this all over the place in all of our institutions as we move from a structured society built based on process systems and institutions, and we move more to an individual spirit-based society. Another great example is healthcare. Our healthcare system nearly buckled and crumbled under the weight of COVID. We just couldn't handle it. Things need to evolve and change. And when we have this shift to the new era, it's going to be all about the individual, less about the structures, the process, less about hierarchies, and more about self-empowerment. And that's why I think this work, Lead with Your Light, and just understanding yourself better through human design is so key, because as we transition, we're going to need to be different. The world is going to change, and we're going to need to step into our highest potential and change with it. The change is happening. You can go kicking or screaming, or you can be a part of it in a positive way. And, that I think is the best way to do it.
Oh, I agree, my friend. So I know in an upcoming column for Aspire, you talked about some of leadership characteristics. We can't go into all of them, but a couple really spoke to me. It was embodied individuality, right? And the reason that one really spoke to me, it's about authentic expression. And I think in a world, just for an example of, Instagram fakes and AI and all this, if we try to be someone else, it sounds like authentic expression. It's like, it's time to shed all the bull and show up as the truth of who you really are. Am I capturing what you mean by embodied individuality?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's interesting that AI has come on the scene now, because as we're moving into a more individualized, authentic, self-empowered situation, it's almost like AI is counter to that. I think, at the end of the day, AI is in its infancy, and it will develop into something that can be, supportive of the new era. But yeah, it's so simple. Just be yourself. Now,
That's a big part of
unfortunately, what
your.
happens is, you're born into the world, you know exactly who you are. Have you ever been around a 2-year-old? They know exactly who they are. They role play, they run around and do crazy things as a toddler. But the minute you ask them to do something that they don't want to do, or that they feel isn't right for them to do, they say no. And it's an emphatic no, because they know what's right for them and what isn't. Now, as parents, we all have to, work to keep our children safe and teach them. So, when they go to stick their finger in the light socket, that's not a good thing. You tell them no. And we continually shape their learning and shape their experiences by telling them not to do certain things. Unfortunately, that well-meaning teaching can also kind of help to squash their natural tendencies, so that they believe it's not okay to be themselves in every situation. And over time, not only parents, but teaching in schools, society itself, advertising, magazines, newspaper, whatever, TV, it shapes us. And sometimes we forget the essence of who we truly are. So when you mentioned that I help people peel back the layers, it's taking that conditioning and looking at it and examining it and saying, no, this doesn't fit. This isn't me. And getting back to the essence of who you truly are, and then being loud and proud about it, standing in it. That's what I mean by that.
It just speaks to my soul because my brands are all about authenticity and tension. And I work with so many women who have actually said to me, Nancy, I feel like I wear so many masks to fit into different circumstances, career, business, life, family, friends. And I'm like, no wonder you're exhausted, right? Because you're not showing up authentically. It takes more energy to kind of fake it through life than it does just to reveal the truth of who you are.
Yes, it does. It takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. It's the
Yeah.
same concept.
And another one that really, of the key leadership characteristics that really speaks to me, because, I use the word alignment all the time, and it's alignment over authority, prioritizing integrity and inner alignment over conventional power of or control. And as we all know, leadership based on control, coercion, and hierarchy has been rapidly losing its influence. So that part, and it says in that same section, self-trust becomes that new leadership currency. I'm like, oh yes. So talk a little bit more about alignment over authority.
Well, if you look at all of the human design types, I'm just going to briefly give you an analogy of a Broadway play. We
Oh,
are all designed to work together. We don't do it, but we're designed to work together. There are 5 types. The manifester is a type that has initiating energy. They're here to start the ball rolling. They have the ideas, they innovate, and then the ideas get passed off to the generators, of which there are 2 flavors of generators. And the generators build everything into form. So with our analogy of the Broadway play, the manifester might have the idea for the script, might even write the script, but the generator will build the sets, create the costumes, maybe be the actors. And then, oh, by the way, we have projectors. Now they're very insightful and they're here to manage and guide and direct the rest of us. So they're the producers and the directors of the program. And finally, we have the reflectors, a very small percentage of the population, and they are like the audience. They're here to give us all feedback. They have managed to give us mirroring energy so that we can see how we're doing. And that's the way human beings are meant to all work together. We don't do that as well as we should, but I think that's something that we need to get back to, because when we're in a position where we're not being true to our type and how our role fits into the rest of the world, then, we have these little fractions all over the place that aren't functioning as well as they could. So that's, really the way we're meant to work together. And I think being aligned and authentic is getting there, getting to the point where we see that influence as not power over, but as power with, so that we can all work together and co-create and collaborate for the good of all, really.
I love that. And as you know, I'm a generator, right? So because
Yes.
our listeners know who I am, why don't you just share, like, how would a generator show up as a leader?
Well, a generator really should only be doing things they're passionate about. And that passion is sort of their golden nugget to leadership and influence. Because when you're passionate about something, other people want in on it, right? They want to know what it's about. They want to follow you. It naturally creates followers. So that's their key, really, to good leadership, is just doing what they love and are passionate about, and then sharing that excitement and that passion with the world.
Oh yeah, that nails me. Thank you so much. And so I love how you break it down to help people understand, like, the different energy types related to leadership. I think when they do this and when they read your book, they're going to go, oh, I think it's given me, I know that since I've had my very first reading with you years ago, it's given me a deeper insight, I think, into why I've always done things the way I've done them,
Mm-hmm.
because they are different than how others may have done them. And I've never looked at others, but now I get a lot of feedback on how do you do that? And I'm like, because of my work with you, I go, it's because I was wired that way.
Right.
I really couldn't do it the way a projector or a reflector would do it, or
No.
do business or do life. It would be like, again, wearing a mask.
Well, and the sad part is we live in a generator world, a world where we work, 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 work. And unfortunately, although 70% of the people are generators, the other 30% are, trying very hard to keep up, when in fact they shouldn't have to do that. It's not fair. We should let people be who they are and contribute what they're here to contribute in the way they're here to contribute it. But our society likes conformity. We like people to kind of fit into a box and do things a certain way. And that is such a disservice to everyone.
Yeah, it truly is, my friend. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, let's talk about what it means by your light. Lead with your light. So we'll be back in a moment, my friends. Please visit Nancy at nancyokeefecoaching.com. You'll see her new book there, Lead with Your Light, now available. And be sure to grab a copy. It is empowering, insightful, and it is so needed for this new era. We'll be back in a moment, my friends.
Are you feeling called to shift your mindset, clear limiting beliefs, and enhance your overall well-being? Shiftology is your answer. Known as the intuitive truth detective, Terry Wildeman helps clients release stress, clear internal blocks, and make confident, values-driven decisions so they can thrive personally and professionally. As a leadership and executive coach, speaker, author, and intuitive guide with over 40 years of experience, she's the founder of Intuitive Leadership and creator of Shiftology, including the Shiftology Success System, a set of interactive tools that blend leadership strategy, mindset work, and intuitive insight to create meaningful, lasting transformation. And she's the host of the Shiftology Live podcast. Terry's Shiftology process powers her Unlock the Power in You programs, webinars, and courses. Learn more at intuitiveleadership.com.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm here with my soul sister, Nancy O'Keefe, certified human design business coach and author of the brand new Lead with Your Light, Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design. So, Nancy, let's explain. What do you mean by your light, like lead with your light?
Well, every energy has what I call a light side and a shadow side. Your light side is the highest potential. And there's a range. You can be in the shadow side, not really working with your energy in a way that serves others or serves humanity. Or you can be in the light side or somewhere on that continuum. If you're in the highest potential all of the time, that's kind of like Mother Teresa energy. It's not easy for most people to be in that highest potential 24/7. But you should be always working toward getting there, and that's being in your own light. So working with the light side, the powerful potential side of your energy. And if you lead with your best self like that, that's really putting your best foot forward and doing what comes naturally to you. And once you can do that, then you are leading with your light.
Love it. You know, I'm all about leading with your light. So, one of my questions is, we talked about the new era before, right?
Mhm.
How will the new era impact us, especially for those that may not be tuned in to how they're wired? So give us an overview of how this new era impacts us individually and collectively.
Well, we've already seen a lot of unrest in the world. As an individual, you might be feeling restless in your own life. You might be feeling like there's something more, but you're not quite sure what it is. You might be feeling like you want to make a change of direction, but you're not really sure where to go or how to take that first step. This energy is going to impact us kind of in the background frequency of life, as well as in the foreground. And we're seeing that in the unrest in the world. We're seeing that in the few things I cited earlier about our healthcare system and our public school system. But it's really happening in our government. How many times has our government had to shut down because we don't have the right legislation in place to keep it running? I mean, there's just a lot of cracks in the plaster. The systems are not working as well as they did. In business, we see the same thing in marketing. The world of online business has changed tremendously in just the last couple of years. So the change is out there. And, a lot of times we don't notice it because it's a gradual change. It's happening over a decade or more until something drastic happens, like some unrest somewhere in the world that is on the news. but really you're already feeling it. That background frequency is impacting you and has been for quite some time. And it shows up in different ways. You could be exhausted. You could feel, more tired, less able to deal with things. I know a number of people who have taken themselves off of social media because they just can't deal with it anymore right now. So it can manifest itself in a number of ways, but I guess the best word is that unrest. When you feel like there's unrest and there's something more, there's something changing, but you can't quite put your finger on it, that's how it's impacting you. And the best thing that you can do is just relax into it. Don't try to fight it. Don't say, oh my goodness, I shouldn't sit here on the couch and read this book today. I should get up and do this, that, or the other thing. You know what? You should do what your body tells you to do. Really, one of the biggest facets of the new energy is to learn self-trust, not to listen to outside authorities, but to learn to be your own authority. And if you can just take that one piece, that will help you get through this transition because you already know the right things to do for you. When you feel like you need to lay down on the couch and take a nap, do it. If you feel like you need to go outside and take a walk to the mailbox, do it. You know what's right for you, and that's what you need to rely on in order to deal with the major shifts and transitions that are happening in the background right now.
Oh yeah, major. And you can feel it internally, as you said too. I mean, for me, it's a lot of grounding, asking myself, is this mine? Because you talk
Mhm.
about energies and frequencies. And I have to do clearing all the time because we're always picking up, as you said, it's like a radio station, right? We're always picking up all the outside frequencies.
Hey,
So you mentioned earlier in our conversation that you can prove that we're a leader because it's shown in the human design. So I'm curious, where does leadership show up in that individual human design charts?
pretty much everywhere. I mentioned about your type, your aura, but it also your profiles. Those are the two numbers that describe how others see you. Numbers 1 through 6, those are really key aspects of where your leadership shows up. But even in your channels and the gates that you have, the 64 gates, those I call skills and talents. And those are leadership skills. For example, the storytelling ones, the ones that show that you have, the gift of storytelling. That's how people have been influenced for centuries. Storytelling is a very powerful influencer. So where doesn't it show up? I guess is a better question because you can find aspects of leadership everywhere.
Yeah, and remember my reading, and I'll share this with them. A few years back, I had an in-depth reading with Nancy, and throughout the whole conversation, I was like, oh my God, oh yeah, that's why. And when I play back the audio, as I often do, I laugh because it was what I knew deep inside, but it was a validation, as you just said, it's in my chart. Here it is, Linda. There's no more doubting anything. I think it is one of the most empowering gifts I gave myself.
Mm, mm,
And
yeah.
so in your book, Lead with Your Light, let's talk about that a little more in depth of what they can expect to learn, walk away with. Give us a deep dive into what is waiting for them.
Well, I give an explanation of human design in there. I help people understand how to read their own chart, and they have an opportunity to get their chart. There's a QR code in the book they can use to get their chart. And then we walk through the whole body graph chart so that people can begin to understand theirs. And we talk about where you can find your leadership characteristics in your chart. So at the end of reading the book, you really will be able to walk away with, exactly your own leadership characteristics and traits. And then beyond that, I have some, general characteristics about leadership and redefining leadership so that, it's more of an inclusive definition so that people stop doing what they're doing now and saying, oh, I don't work in corporate, I couldn't be a leader, or, oh, gee, I don't have a team of people, so I'm not a leader. I call BS on that. So at the end of the book, you'll walk away with a new definition of leadership, and you'll be able to pinpoint exactly where in your human design your leadership lives. And hopefully you'll feel inspired to, aspire to develop that light. Any place where you're not in the light and you're still operating out of the shadow, or you've got conditioning from, living, you'll be inspired, hopefully, to start to move through that and get back to who you truly are and be more authentic.
Yes, and one of the things we're going to talk about before we go after we come back from the next break in a few minutes is you talk about frequency, and that's one of my favorite words, because it was when I really came to understand a lot of how I'm personally wired. So we're going to take our final break, Nancy, and when we come back, I want to talk about if people are feeling off, if they're feeling energetically pulled, I want you to share some ways that people can raise their frequency. I think it's so important when we're all feeling oversaturated, overwhelmed by everything coming at us right now. So my friends, we'll be back in a moment. I'm with Nancy O'Keefe, author of Lead with Your Light, Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design. Go to nancyokeefecoaching.com. You'll see the book on her website. Be sure to grab a copy and stay connected with Nancy. We'll be right back.
We can all use a little more peace and joy in our lives. Don't you agree? Counselor, best-selling author, and self-nurturing expert Kelly Grimes of CultivatingPeaceAndJoy.com is passionate about empowering overwhelmed and exhausted women to live with more peace, joy, and meaning through the practice of self-nurturing. Through her experience working with individuals, speaking, providing workshops, and teaching professional and leadership development to forward-thinking organizations, Kelly knows that nurturing peace in the world begins from the inside out. That's why she created the free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app that brings you beautiful self-nurturing reminders, guided meditations, empowering practice tools, and daily prompts with an inspiring question to guide your daily self-nurturing practice. Download your free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app today at cultivatingpeaceandjoy.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy. With me today is certified human design business coach, Aspire Magazine's expert columnist, Nancy O'Keefe. And so, Nancy, I'd love to hear your insights on raising our frequency, because as I shared right before the break, right now, I mean, life is happening really fast and furious. And I'm talking to so many women who are just feeling like stuck in inertia. And I think a lot of it is because it's dimming our light. We're taking so much in that our light is getting dimmed, which is, I believe you feel the same way, that lowers our frequency.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'd love to get your insights on why, two reasons. One, why is it important to keep raising our frequency? And two, some ways that our listeners can do so.
Well, it's important to raise your frequency because you are not going to be at your best if you're operating from that shadow place or that low energy. You're not going to be your best. You're not going to do your best. You're not going to attract people. If you're in business, nobody's going to want to work with you if your energy is low and, doesn't feel good to them. And, when you're out there promoting yourself and your programs or your courses or your services, and, you're all positive about it, but your energy frequency that they're, by the way, feeling no matter what you say doesn't match it, it creates some mistrust. And they're like, are you the real deal? They're not feeling it. So there's simple ways you can raise your frequency. First of all, shut off all the negativity. Get away from anything that you feel is negative, and that includes people. Limit your exposure to things that drag you down. And then do things to pamper yourself. So, a simple walk in the grass in nature is a great way. Go by the ocean, whatever makes you feel good. Have a massage, read a book, put some essential oils in a diffuser. Whatever you do, anything like that will help to raise your frequency. And beyond that, you need to practice getting yourself to the point where you can trust your decision-making authority. In human design, we all have a decision-making authority, and nobody's decision-making tool is in their brain. Yet we've all been taught to weigh the pros and cons and use our head to think logically to make decisions, when in fact we should be feeling those decisions somewhere else in the body, and that depends on what your energy type is. So when you feel that decision is right, trust it. Learn to trust yourself as the authority. So as an example, my decision-making authority is emotional. It's in my solar plexus. And I will feel if that decision is right in that part of my body. And if I have the added component of having to sort of sleep on it to make sure it stays the right decision. So once you learn what your authority is, and that's covered in the book as well, you'll be in a position to really use it and trust yourself. Might take a little practice to wake it up because we've all been trained to do something different. But that's a good way. There's also in the book a chapter that talks about every one of the 64 gates in terms of the low energy, the shadow energy, and the high energy, and how you can traverse the 5 stages to get yourself from low to high. So that's a good thing to use, not as a prescription, but as sort of a barometer. Where am I? And what can I do to raise my frequency? It might mean you have to shift your mindset a little bit. You might have to examine some of your beliefs. There might be some inner work you have to do. Or it might be as simple as turning off the news, getting off of social media, or spending a little less time with that toxic person in your life who's always so negative about everything. Know this is a gradual process. You didn't become this way, conditioned, in 5 minutes. It took a lifetime. Not that it will take another lifetime to undo it, but it will take some time. And give yourself the grace of not being perfect and understanding that it's a journey. And you'll have days when you're really in the highest frequency of your different energies, and then you'll have days when you're not, and that's okay.
I love that, giving ourselves permission and not judging, right? Don't you find that self-judgment is one of the biggest frequency lowerers?
And comparison.
Ooh, good one. Yeah, compare it. And you know what? Let's talk about that for a moment, because with the inundation, with Instagram and all that, and the picture perfect personas being projected out there, it's almost like it's saying, unless you look like me, do what I do, then you're less than. So what happens is when we're constantly in those streams, we begin to think that's the truth. And really the trauma is being caused by our choice to compare.
Right. Now,
So
I'm here to tell you, you cannot compare yourself to anyone else. Human design shows us each and every one of us is completely unique. Even twins born within minutes of each other, coming from the same womb, are not the same energetically. And your energy is your energetic fingerprint, really. We know we have DNA, physical DNA. Well, you also have energetic DNA. And when you realize that it's yours and yours alone, there are no 2 fingerprints that are the same. There are no 2 energetic DNA schemes that are the same. So what is there to compare to? You're one of a kind. Honor that, love that, respect that. It's a beautiful thing.
What a sacred reminder. And as an auntie of 15-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, when you said even in twins are different, I'm like, oh my, they are very different. You would never even know that they were twins from meeting them, but also the personalities, the way they show up in life, there is so different. It's kind of amazing, actually. And so you talked about ways people can raise their frequency, the importance of it. For me, the big thing is, like you said, I watch what I take in. Right. And that is across the board for everything. It's only way I can serve and lead, and you've known me for a long time, is to maintain my own emotional, spiritual, and physical health. And I think a lot of people focus on physical health, but
Hmm.
they forget we're energetic beings too, like you've been
Right,
talking about. And do you notice that some of us, especially if we're coming from, I don't want to say corporate, but if we're coming from that kind of energetic structure, we kind of struggle with maintaining our energetic frequency because we never even thought about it before. We always stayed in our head.
right. And we did what we were told. There are
Oh,
rules
yeah.
in business. Even as an entrepreneur, there are unwritten rules about how you're supposed to be and run a business. Look at women even had rules about what they were supposed to wear.
How do we shed that? I know it starts with, the first step is we have to understand our human design type. And it's almost like I feel like it's a shedding, right? We got to shed all the stuff we picked up so that we can be in our own frequency, our own light, and the way we're divinely wired to lead.
Yes. You can't shed it all. It's too ingrained, and a lot of it is ingrained in society, but you can learn to recognize when you're succumbing to it. And you can ask yourself using your decision-making authority, is this right for me? Maybe some of it is. It's possible that some of the conditioning is okay for you, but it's about asking yourself and feeling into the decision and understanding whether it's an aligned choice for you or not.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to talk about and just end that conversation with is some people hear the word lead, it's because of the way we've been programmed by society. This book is not just for entrepreneurs, this book or corporate or business owners. It's really an individual empowerment book about how we can lead our own lives, whether you're a baseball coach, a school teacher, it doesn't matter. It's living from the inside out. So talk a little bit about that so people understand that this isn't a book that you have to have a certain role in life to.
Absolutely not. We all have a role in humanity, and we have been conditioned to look to leaders as the outside authorities, and that structure is crumbling. We all need to be leaders because each one of us has a contribution to make. And it doesn't make any difference where you make that contribution. It's how you came here to be and what you came here to deliver to humankind. Now, whether you do that as a corporate vice president or an entrepreneur or a mother of twins or whatever place in the world you feel like you can share what you came here to share, then you are a leader there. The idea is that you're leading yourself. You're leading yourself on the right journey for you. And where you do it, what industry, what, framework, that almost is irrelevant. It's how you were designed to be when you're here. And make no mistake, if you're here now, you're here to be part of this transition from the old energy to the new energy. You have a role to play. And learning what that is so empowering. Some of us are here to preserve the things in the old era that need to be preserved. Some of us are here to help people as a bridge to transfer to the new era. And some of us are here as pioneers to start creating the new era. But you're all here now for a particular purpose. So know that leadership, the definition that we hold in our society currently or in the past, is just not a broad enough definition. Lead with your light is all about you finding your right place in the world and giving yourself permission to be you and not to play small.
You encapsulated it, my friend. Thank you. That was beautiful. And I want to share it with everyone. When you go to nancyokeefecoaching.com, you're going to see a link that says Lead with Your Light, and then you will see Lead with Your Light book. I also want to let you know that whatever platform you're on, the link direct to that page is also there. So Nancy, I so appreciate you. This book, your message is so needed in the world, especially now. And you just beautifully encapsulated why it's important.
Thank you, Linda. I'm so happy to be able to share this message, which was given to me, and I really appreciate the fact that I am, one of the people out there that's trying to help everybody through this transition.
Well, you're doing such an empowering job, my friend. Again, everyone visit nancyokeefecoaching.com. You'll see Lead with Your Light right up at the top, and you can get to the book page from there. As always, the links are all in the bottom of whatever platform you're listening on. Nancy, deep gratitude, my friend, just for being who you are, being a part of my life and making such an impact. And I am so excited about your new book called Lead with Your Light, Individual Empowerment, Influence, and Impact with Human Design. Be sure to grab a copy, my friends. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Linda.
Blessings, everyone. Until next time, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness, my friends.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.